Tomorrow we have the Xbox Developer Direct where we're going to see Indiana Jones, Avowed, Hellblade 2, Our History Untold, and it appears that there may be a fifth mystery game according to Insider Gaming. We're going to talk about that and what it may be. We're also going to talk about the lack of a shadow drop at this year's Developer Direct, and plus a bunch more Xbox-related leaks, from a canceled Halo Battle Royale all the way to the Marcus Phoenix collection that's been rumored for years and years and years. So much to get into in this video. We're going to dig through it all. If you're new here, you're into Xbox news, information, discussions, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. Naturally, I want to begin at the top of what's going on with this Developer Direct. So it was written over at Insider Gaming. They say there won't be any shadow drops during the Xbox Developer Direct. Initially, when I see this coming from Insider Gaming, I'm like, oh, they have their leaks, their sources, right? No, this is straight from Xbox, where they write at the bottom of a Xbox Wire post detailing how you can watch the Developer Direct. When will the games in the show be released? All the games in this year's Developer Direct will be arriving later, with more details to be shared in the program. So this means no shadow drop whatsoever. This is going to be a good, honest look at the entire roadmap for 2024 for Xbox. This comes as a bit of a surprise to me, only because Xbox was saying, hey, we have a game coming every quarter, a big exclusive, and I imagine that meant that something was around the corner. I wonder if that was just a kickoff to kind of set the tone for what Developer Direct could be, because I think without Hi-Fi Rush, when you look at the overall slate of games there, before we knew what Redfall would be, I think most of the excitement was channeled into seeing more about that game. Otherwise, though, I think Hi-Fi Rush was the reason the Developer Direct was such a phenomenal success. Then you had a great showing of Starfield. So now we have the tone, we have the feel, the format. And so is a shadow drop needed every time? No. Is it desired? Yes. And I could see why people were hypothesizing. Certainly I was. I thought about games like Towerborn, 33 Immortals. I thought of games that we haven't seen in a while, like Contraband. I thought of Double Fine's game that apparently is back in development, that was originally shelved while they were working on Psychonauts 2, and so on and so on. I look at all of those as candidates for shadow drops, but those are also candidates for the fifth game. Where did this fifth game come from? Well, that is the Insider Gaming source, where they write at the bottom of their article. One thing Insider Gaming sources have mentioned, however, is a fifth game being shown during the show. That said, it is not expected to be a major game. Now, your mileage may vary. That could be any type of game. We could sit here and guess all day. I'll talk about what I hope it is. I hope it's Towerborn. I think that would be a really nice surprise. I wouldn't really qualify it as a major game, but for people who have tracked Stoic Studios' portfolio, it'll be a major game for them, because they made the Banner Saga, and the Banner Saga is up there with Mass Effect as one of those great RPG trilogies where choices carry over, and it's really having a lot of diverging choices throughout the narrative. Excellent gameplay, wonderful art style. So while I'm not really into the whole live service heavy replayability wave, I feel like Stoic has shown me 3 great RPGs in a row, and if they were going to go this route with more of like a Dragon's Crown a bit action RPG, I gotta hear them out. I gotta see what they're doing, and I feel like that's one candidate. My other is Double Fine, because they were already working on something, then they had to stop that to get Psychonauts 2 out the door, and then they picked this one up. They also posted at the top of the year a little tweet saying that they have some surprises for their 25th anniversary as a team, so I feel like that's a strong candidate as well. If I were to pick between the two, I would say probably Double Fine, but that's just me firing a guess out there, no sources whatsoever. So yeah, we're gonna get a fifth game at the Developer Direct. No shadow drops, however. Still really looking forward to it, especially Avowed, Indiana Jones. I cannot wait. All right, let's keep on going, because we have more information, more leaks to go through today. Where Final Fantasy VII Remake, this is the one that a lot of people want to have come to Xbox. Think about the pre-Persona situation where people were wondering, where's Persona 3? Where's 4? Where's 5? Why are these games not on Xbox? And finally they came, and even though they were like late ports, it was a really big deal. And yeah, this is kind of that same feeling for Final Fantasy VII Remake, which time has been so good too. I cannot wait for Rebirth. I am doing my Final Fantasy VII and 7 Remake replays in about a week or so. I'm finishing up Trails right now. You know how I feel about Trails. I'm a little busy right now. I'm on that JRPG wave though. I cannot wait for Rebirth. And I feel like Xbox fans have been very patient with 7 Remake, where I remember the report was it was going to probably come to Xbox a year after PlayStation's release, and well, here we are many years later. Still, Jez Corden says, I got evidence tentatively that there are discussions about Final Fantasy VII for Xbox. Feels like we do hear this pretty often, but I always say Jez Corden is the guy I go to for my really concrete Xbox information. Keep in mind though, podcast is more like rambling, sources, all that fun stuff is just chit chat. Whereas like when he reports something, he puts it in writing, like at Windows Central. That's where it's more ironclad, kind of take it to the bank style information. So I wouldn't run away with this, but this has been the murmuring for years now, ever since though Xbox and Square Enix donned the stage together to commit to one another and say like, hey, we're going to be bringing more Square Enix games to Xbox. I feel like this has to be #1 on Phil's list next to any other upcoming Square Enix games we have yet to learn about, because I feel like without Final Fantasy on your box, you are not certifying yourself as a major JRPG player. Xbox wants to break into Japan. They need to have Final Fantasy on their box, just like they needed Persona on their box. Let's go to a fun one here. We learned in 2022 that Certain Affinity was, quote, deepening their relationship with 343 Industries. This came after a flurry of reports saying that Certain Affinity was working on a Battle Royale style mode for Halo Infinite. And since then, it's been quiet, but just lots of discussions amongst the community of when it'll be dropped. Is it still relevant? Does Halo Infinite need it? Does it even have the player base to warrant the workforce and the budget being thrown at it right now? While the game is getting better and they are throwing a ton of content at it now, and Forge has really just opened up the floodgates. Like if you have not played Halo Infinite, I get it, but give it a second try. It is crazy how much stuff has been added there, but the player count doesn't really reflect that fully. It's doing well, but it doesn't reflect it fully, where maybe they got a bit gun shy on this. So a lot of people were wondering, like, is this still a worthwhile endeavor? And it's possible it wasn't, because Eurogamer had reported Halo Battle Royale reportedly canceled after years of work, and every website under the sun ran away with this. I saw even a couple of other Xbox podcasters, I think Paris Lilly over on the Xcast, had said that he had heard a similar thing. A lot of people corroborating like, yeah, I'm hearing a similar thing here, but this all came originally from the Xbox Era podcast, where Special Nick was talking about, well, someone else's discussion and just offering their thoughts that they had heard a similar thing, but they were not 100% sure on this. It was not by any means a report or a take it to the bank thing, and they actually released a little statement on their website saying what's really depressing in all of this is that we're discussing someone else's discussion, and all the headlines at the other end are effectively Nick Baker reports Tatanka canceled. This is factually wrong. If we had corroborated verifiable evidence and detail on this, I think it's pretty likely we'd do a report ourselves. We don't, so we haven't. There's a reason it's just a discussion on the podcast. Similar thing to kind of what I said earlier about Jez on the podcast. I just always say to people, like, if you're running a podcast and you got information, either keep it to yourself or don't be loosey-goose. Not that this is really on Xbox Era, because they were just kind of saying we heard a similar thing based on that discussion, but a lot of people ran away with it saying, like, this is the report, this is confirmed, which I think is unfair to them. It's why, while I am privy occasionally, not always, to some information, I typically keep it to myself now. It's just not worth it. It's just way too much heat. So yeah, just some passing wisdom, I suppose. But if Tatanka is in development still, I can't say my excitement for a Battle Royale is particularly high, but I think Halo is actually one of the few franchises to fit pretty well. Like, imagine a bunch of ODST pods coming down, like a PvPvE kind of horror Battle Royale style game. I mean, I'm dreaming right now. I don't think it would turn out like that at all, but I think it would be a really good fit. So it's kind of a shame if it ends up being canceled or shelved, but I think right now the focus should be getting 343 to the next mainline Halo game. My prediction has always been that Infinite's going to be maintained for years and years and years, and that for the next Halo game, what they're going to get up and running is just a really robust campaign and sell that, and have Infinite kind of be fed continuously this new content from new mainline releases. So we'll see what they end up doing with all of that. But right now, the word on Halo Infinite's Project Tatanka is kind of unknown. Then we have some less verifiable reports, but still ones I wanted to talk about, both from the same podcast. Idle Sloth here posts, according to Middle Age Game Guy, the Gears collection is being internally tested by the Coalition. The build is finished, and the game testers are currently playing it now. Also, the new Coalition IP is still being worked on, and Ninja Theory is still working on Project Mara. Meanwhile, he also says here that we will see gameplay of Contraband in 2024, saying that it's 8-player co-op, reminiscent of things like Dukes of Hazzard, Battlefield Hardline, Payday, Driver, but not Twisted Metal. Gameplay includes epic car chases, but not just driving, and currently between alpha and beta stages of development, which is a pretty wide gap, might I throw in there, but release date / years are not known of as of yet, which again is kind of surprising. If it's heading towards beta, they'd probably have a pretty good window in mind. He also has seen 4-player co-op, but hasn't seen any single-player modes. They are testing different modes, and if it doesn't speak to the players, they may retool the modes. Everyone has been going back and forth on the Gears collection. I know Xbox Era and Jez Corden have just gone back and forth, where Xbox Era is like, we've heard about it, and Jez Corden's like, I don't know about it, and so people are very in the middle on it. I think one thing we can all agree on when it comes to a Gears collection is it just needs to happen. Like, Xbox should just see the amount of reports, either fake or real, and get to it at this point. If Halo deserves it, I think Gears deserves it. You think about the strength of that 360 era, and the two tentpoles during that time were absolutely Halo and Gears of War. And I think having Gears on this one singular collection would really stoke the fires of excitement for that franchise, especially because I think some people forget how good it is. Like, I think Gears has had a really great transition from one original developer to the next, where Coalition's carried the torch beautifully. I don't like Gears 4 or 5 for that matter as much as the older Gears trilogy, but what I will say is that Gears 5 has some of the best moments in the whole series. I just don't like where it ends. It ends right where it feels like it's finally getting to that climax, but yeah, wish that one had a little bit more runtime, to tell you the truth. Gears 4, kind of like what I call the Force Awakens of Gears. Little safe, but nothing really wrong with that when you're kind of going for the passing of the torch. I think it's a competent game, sets up a new arc, and the ending of that game is pretty awesome as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I think there's a lot of memories packed into Gears 1, 2, and 3. I think the weirdest part right now is that we have a Gears of War 1 Ultimate Edition, but Gears 2 and 3 are available via back compat. And while it's great because those are still playable, they should be playable on PC. They deserve their own singular launcher that puts them all together. I know it's not easy, but I think it's a worthwhile project for Xbox. So whether the reports are true or false matters little to me. Xbox should be all over a Gears of War collection because it's easy money and it's an easy way to get people excited for Gears 6. And it's also, just like with Halo Infinite, if your next big project flops, you've got this nice steady player base loving the old thing right there. As for Contraband, given that all we got was a CG trailer upon its reveal, but then we've heard that Avalanche, according to Jeff Grubb, has had some trouble hitting milestones, I wonder sometimes if it got a bit of a retooling, a bit of a rebooting at some point along the road. At the same time, however, with Contraband only getting that CG reveal, it's possible it was just starting development then, but there were rumors swirling for a good long while that something was happening between Xbox and Avalanche before that announcement, so you had to think that the game was at least in development for a decent stretch of time. So it's really anybody's guess. This is one that I feel like could show up at like a summer showcase and surprise us. If Insider Gaming is saying that the 5th game at the show is not a major one, I would personally say check off Contraband. I don't expect to see that as the 5th game there, because I would at least consider that personally pretty major. I expect that to look a little bit bigger budget compared to other games out there, but we'll see. I'm excited to learn more nonetheless. We also have a really interesting rumor coming from Xputer on Hellblade 2's release date, where they say here that it's launching May 21st of this year. And this would come across my desk as, quite frankly, a little surprising, only because, yes, we have seen so much of Hellblade 2, but for me to look at that release date after all the opportunities they've had to show the game's release date, just like last month with the Game Awards gameplay reveal for Hellblade 2, where we actually finally saw combat, I thought that would be the time they slap a release date on it. So I don't know what's happened in the next month that's allowed them to say, yeah, let's put a date on it there. Especially when you look at the Developer Direct Wire post and they mention how Hellblade 2 is getting more of this behind the scenes look on how they're crafting this experience. To me, it sounds like, here's our technology, here's our mocap, here's how we're writing the game, here's how, naturally with Hellblade 2, sound is really important, here's how we're capturing the soundscape for this game. I feel like it's going to be one of those looks at the title. At least that's how it's worded, whereas every other game on the Wire post mentions gameplay. So it sounded more and more like, yeah, you're going to get a look at Hellblade 2, but other games are going to get a much deeper dive, and that would make sense because Hellblade 2, well, you know, it showed off a lot already. You don't want to fatigue your audience. So if this is the release date, this is great because it means that for one of the final major moments we see it in a showcase, it's going to be right around the corner for us. A nice spring exclusive for Xbox, right ahead of the Xbox showcase. Nonetheless, I'm really looking forward to it. It's one of my most anticipated games of the year, but definitely in the middle on this release date where I can obviously sit here and go, yeah, I can see it happening, but at the same time, I could see this definitely being later. Last bit of news here started off as a leak, but it ends up being true. It is posted over on YouTube and Twitter. We get a mile-long message here from GSC Game World, developers of the Stalker franchise, talking about their trip here to the release date announcement. And the final release date for Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, is September 5th, 2024, revealed in a brand new trailer. This is one that I've been really excited for. Fallout fans keep telling me, if you like Fallout, go play Stalker. I wanted to wait for Stalker 2. We waited a long while, understandably so, given the conditions that this is being developed in, but I am really excited to see what this game is all about. And I'm really crossing my fingers that it comes out in great shape, because certainly it's going to be a pretty interesting review process for this one, given if it ends up coming out not clean or not great on a technical level, we're going to understand why, but we're still going to have to do our job. So it's going to be a interesting stretch of time for that game. Hopefully it comes out swinging. I'm very excited for it nonetheless. It's looked phenomenal with everything we've seen thus far. I've kind of been on media blackout for the most part with this game, not really watching much else that's been released because I've been sold on it since really its first announcement. But yeah, it's coming September 5th, a little bit later than I thought it would be. Naturally, again, given the situation it's being developed during, I get why it's taking a while, but I remember this is one we thought would be coming maybe in the first quarter of this year. So to put it all the way at the back end of this year likely is why they're calling it the final release date. They feel pretty confident they can hit that given any complications that may occur throughout development. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, those are all the Xbox leaks, rumors, info. It's a lot of them leading into this developer direct. We'll see, obviously, what that fifth game ends up being, if that is a true rumor. And we'll see what else is kind of pushed to the side for a future reveal or announcement. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below. So please do fire away. With that, take excellent care of yourselves. And I'll see you all of you in the next video. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the heck out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.